All of these views are mine and none of them are Disney's.
Welcome. I bet you're noticing my outfit. I feel like this is actually a pretty good representation of me. Just kind of keeping it casual and classy. You see here I have my awesome flash shirt that does glow in the dark. And, oh yeah, my nice running shorts. But that's not me today. Today's a story time. Well, stories time. So I'm gonna get more comfortable with this. There we go. What to do with this lipstick? There we go. Normal. I think this is gonna be my last video on this topic. I feel like I've kind of, what's the term? Beaten a dead horse? Feel like I'm beating a dead horse? Basically, I feel like I've pretty much covered the big highlights of my adventures in Disneyland. So we're just gonna wrap up with a couple stories and there you go. All right, where to begin? The cough attack. So one day I was manning the pizza station and this lady came up with her 5-year-old and was browsing amongst the pizzas. And so she would come over to this side and browse there and look at them, and she'd walk over here and browse and look at those, and like a good kid, her kid followed her, just trailed behind. Unfortunately, this kid had a cold or something because they kept coughing. And it wasn't a dry cough. No, you could tell there were things happening in the kid's body. And the kid kept coughing towards the pizza. Just had no self-awareness. It was just going straight onto where the pizzas were. Well, so I caught this early because I saw the kid coughing at glass, and then I thought, oh no, the kid's coming for the pizzas. So I did what any good employee would do, and I nonchalantly followed the kid around as he went back and forth with his mother, and they went over the counter, like each side, about 11 billion times, and I just took the pizzas as they went. So lady viewed pizza number 1, moved on to pizza number 2, kid followed lady, started coughing towards pizza number 1, but before you could get there, I just casually slid it towards me as if I was inspecting it. And then this went on down the row, and then of course the lady went back this way, so I followed her this way, just kind of like taking the pieces. It felt like a video game basically. And I was really impressed with myself because she didn't notice and the kid didn't notice, and I did a pretty good job of saving all of those pizzas. Otherwise we would have had to have trashed all of them. Now I bet you're thinking, why didn't you just say, hey kid, stop coughing, or say, hey lady, your kid's coughing on the pizzas? Well, things are kind of funny at Disneyland. Normal everyday rules don't really apply, and people think you're rude for doing things that aren't actually that rude. So, in this circumstance, it was considered bad show to tell people to stop doing things. Even touching the pizzas. If someone touched a pizza, we had to throw it away. Touched a corner of a pizza, touched the little cardboard that the pizza was in, because they all had their little singular cardboard cases that they were in. Each piece was pretty special. So, needless to say, a lot of pizzas were thrown away during my time there. Oh, speaking of which, this reminds me of a small story, which was basically that you would not believe the common sense that some people lack. So, for instance, once upon a time, there was this whole pizza being displayed, and then it had its individual slices around it that you could take. And this lady came up, looked at all of it, saw the piece that she wanted, which was in the whole pizza being displayed that hadn't been sectioned up, and she proceeded to reach and start trying to rip it away from the pizza, just kind of like that, and just jiggling it, and with both hands touching all of the pizza. And naturally, this is like the one time that I had my back turned, because you don't really have your back turned because there's nothing to be looking at behind you. I think I'd gotten some towels under the counter or something. So I had to say, "Oh, I'm sorry, ma'am, you can't do that." And then had to discreetly just trash the pizza. All right, second story, which actually really isn't that much of a story. Basically, a bunch of models came in one day when nothing was going on. And I mean, I didn't know they were models, and I didn't know they were famous people either. I just noticed that they all had the same general kind of vibe with fashion, which was matching sweatshirts and sweatpants, and they were all very thin, and their complexions, the skin on these girls was perfect, on their faces at least. And a lot of them had hooped earrings, and it looked like they had on zero makeup. So I was just joking around with my coworker, and there was like no one in the shop, customer wise. And as soon as they left, my coworker said, "Do you know who that was?" Speaking about one particular girl in tie-dye. I was like, "Oh no, who?" And she was like, "That was Madison Beer." I was like, whoa. So I Googled who Madison Beer was after that. And turns out she's a semi-popular singer, I guess. Kind of up there in the music industry, but also a model. And she was there with all of her model friends. So, and now for the last story, which is where this shirt comes in. Oh, let's see. How to begin. So it was my day off, and I decided I should just go into the parks because, I mean, it sounds like fun. So I went. It was night, it was evening, and I went alone, which I wouldn't recommend because you just keep being reminded exactly how alone you are. And then I ended up in California Adventure, and I saw the Incredicoaster, which is the very twisty, turny, fast-going roller coaster that they have in California Adventure Park. And I thought, oh, I should go on that because I haven't. So I went up, waited in line, didn't have to wait that long, surprisingly, and I got into a seat with a girl who was also named Mackenzie. And she was about 11 years old, and she was from Canada. So we secured our riches, our valuables, and we got off to a slow start, and we weaved around, and then we came up to this thing. Now, mind you, I have seen this ride operate before. Not many, many times, but a little bit of many times. So I knew how it went, but I don't know what was going on that day, but I really wasn't in the right headspace. So when it got to the part where the roller coaster, when it goes upward slowly, I was like, I'm gonna relax and enjoy this. So I relaxed, and I just settled in comfortably against the back of my seat. And then all of a sudden, this thing just like went from 0 to 30 trillion miles an hour. And my hair was like plastered like way up against the seat. And the problem was we went so fast, and I was so taken by surprise that I did this like inhale gasp of air, and one of my very long strands of hair just entirely went in my mouth, down my esophagus, and that was about the most uncomfortable feeling I had had in a very long time. So we were shooting up the tube, the chute upward to get to the top for gravity to do things afterwards, a million miles an hour, and I was just gagging and coughing and trying not to die, just spastically to get the hair out of my mouth. And then we got to the top and it was out, and I was like relieved for a second, and then we started going down really fast. We went over a couple of hills, and then we got to the point where the roller coaster does like a whole 360, yeah, and goes off. And again, I have seen this thing happen before, but my brain just totally wasn't in it. So as we were rocketing towards the bottom of the hoop to curl around, I had about 3.4 seconds to have all the stages of grief just go through me. I mean, denial. I was like, no, I don't want, what? No, because you see, I had kind of had a headache because I had been walking around so much that day, and I hadn't gotten like water yet or anything like that. And so my head wasn't in the best of shape. And then also we would be going 360 and the G-force would be doing things. And I was like, but no, I don't want to, but and then it was happening and I couldn't do anything about it. And so we, sure enough, went all the way around, and it wasn't that fun either. It was all right, but the old body just, it took a beating that day. So after that, the ride was pretty good compared to both of those things. The ride was great, and I would say, ride it to your heart's content on a beautiful day when you haven't eaten much and you don't have a headache and you've got your hair properly secured, and you'll have a blast. Oh, go with a couple 7-year-olds if you can as well. They would just love it, or 11-year-olds. So that's about it. Thank you for listening with me, to me, on this journey of all the crazy things that happened to me going to, being there, and then coming back from California and Disneyland. I really enjoyed my time there, but I also didn't. And I don't regret anything, and I'm very glad it happened to me, but I wouldn't do it again. It actually kind of came as a relief to me that they told us it would be closing early. So it was a good time. Wouldn't do it again. Don't know if I would recommend it. But the people are nice. The people make it once you get to know them. And if you interact with customers, makes it even better. Anyway, thanks for watching. Here, let me charge it real quick so you can see that I'm not kidding. Here we go. Pretty cool.